Back now with the 3-year-old's adrenaline rush. Looks awesome in his stall. He's walking around good. We will have a report in about 2 weeks. I think they'll X-ray him. At that point, they said hand walking. There'll be no hand walking. He can hand walk himself right into the pool for the next little while until they say, okay, he's ready to start jogging, which will be next year sometime, I suspect. I don't know about this timeline that the vet clinic has given us. I don't want to expedite the timeline in any way, shape, or fashion, but I need a realistic timeline on this guy. You can't tell me that he can start hand walking in 2 weeks, but then again, he can't do anything till later, like in the spring of next year. That just makes no sense to me. So I'm going to have to revisit this timeline with the surgeon, with our vet, and say, okay, if you x-ray him in 2 weeks, I believe it's 2 weeks, if you x-ray him in 2 weeks and then he can start hand walking, obviously he can start exercise. Why can't he go in the pool? And can he go in the pool? What are your concerns? Sometimes the horses slip going in the pool. Obviously, you don't want to see that happen and hurt himself, re-injure the area. So that may be a realistic concern. I'll go over that with the surgeon and the vet when I talk to them. First Glance didn't get in this week. Hopefully they can fill the non-winners at 50. We can race him again. You guys are now seeing the problem, right? Is that not only is there a tough class, not only are these classes tough, they're not filling all the time. And that's another problem for this jurisdiction. We had one of our clients very astutely and very fairly say, can we race him somewhere else? He's going to have to face 52 at the Meadows. Northfield Park is not geared for 3-year-olds, non-winners of so much. These are all shark tanks. And as I said, I just don't think that First Glance is a 150, 149 pacer at 4 or 151. And I think you're going to pay a lot more for him at Harrisburg than he's probably worth right now. And that's the reality of it. So for the people out there saying, well, a gentleman had messaged me the other day and said, well, when he got involved, it was only for fun and entertainment. And now it's leaning towards more of a profit-oriented stable. No, it's leaning towards a realistic model, right? When we started the stable, we had this giant umbrella. This is what we're trying to do. And as we saw what worked and didn't work, that umbrella kind of shrunk. And now we're looking at a model that makes sense for everybody. And for the people out there saying, I just want to have fun, I guarantee you, 100%, if First Glance throws 10 races off in a row where he gets beat up and he doesn't race good, it's not fun. Not for him and certainly not for you. And I've seen that happen too many times before. I keep saying this over and over again because there are clients, good people, that either don't believe that or don't buy into that. And it's one of these cases where I would hope you would trust me on this. I'm going to be wrong. First Glance might win in 49 next year. There's going to be horses I'm going to be wrong on. Captain's Maid, somebody brought it to my attention the other day. They said, she made $62,000, since you sold her. No, she made 50 since we sold her for 32, I believe. And now she's in the Harrisburg sale. She's capped out of her classes. I didn't think she could do the class above, and she couldn't have for us. For a Jen Bongiorno, she did. That's racing. That's the way it is. But you can go back and look at all the horses we sold over the last 3 years. I think we're right many, many more times than we're wrong. Aglaire AM has been fantastic. Just can't get her in. We have her as good as we can have her right now. She just can't get her in on a regular basis. She's undoubtedly short on Monday. Just can't train her fast enough on a half-mile track, and Mohawk was closed for training last week. So very unfortunate timeline for Aglaire AM. We'll see. She goes out and wins again. She's an incredible filly because she should be short going into this week. We did have a splint crowd, so she should be a little bit better. I doubt you'll see her hanging on that line the same way, so I suspect she'll be a little better in that regard. But short for sure. I'm a Lovely Lady. Looks like she got a good class at the Meadows. I was juggling classes, right? I don't want our horses racing against one another. So what options do we have? Tanzanite Tricks had to race in the same class as I'm a Lovely Lady. And quite frankly, Tanzanite Tricks can't beat I'm a Lovely Lady. Not right now. Similar, but not quite. So we're racing for second or third place, at best, with Tanzanite Tricks, who deserves better. The race secretary at Northfield Park called looking for a horse to fill, a trotter to fill this mixed bag class. And on face value, it looks like he got us a shitty deal. Looks like we got a tough class. But I think if you look closer, sure, there's a couple of horses in there that can trot. She's no slouch either. She's coming off some real good races, a little bit sicker last start. She should be coming in red hot this week. So Tanzanite Tricks and I'm a Lovely Lady, I didn't want to race them together. She's in where she could do some damage this week. We will see. Jazzy Judy, another filly, got in tough with Tanzanite Tricks, with Tipsy and Dixie. I had one of her clients call me upset that I was driving Tipsy and Dixie. Well, I was a little taken aback, to be honest. Jazzy Judy can't beat Tipsy and Dixie, first off. It's just unfair. Tipsy and Dixie's got... Tipsy and Dixie is a battle-tested, tough filly coming out of the stake program, heading into Harrisburg soon. I just got off the phone with a breeder that wanted to buy her before the sale. And he said he'd get back to me, and there's no point bringing offers to our clients when they're not legitimate just yet. But we do have interest in some of these fillies, and I want to make sure things go good. Not to say Mike Wilder wouldn't drive her good. I'm sure he'd drive her just fine. But I'm going to be over there, and I'm going to drive her. And for those of you, yeah, I was a little offended, to be honest. Mike Wilder left with her, got parked to the quarter, cleared to the front, and it was all guns ablaze until the finish where she could beat half a length. That's how you race. That's racing. But that's a tough trip also. It's not like he feathered her through and like Rose Run Wynot the other night at Mohawk. Mike's an incredibly good driver, but I'm not horrible either. I know where the winner's circle is at the Meadows. So to our client that was upset that I was driving Tipsy, I'm super apologetic about that, but that's just how it is. So I don't know what to tell you. So Jazzy Judy's in that race. I don't know who's racing Jazzy, but listen, at the end of the day, here's the trip with Jazzy Judy. You got a lot of money made, like 14 lifetime starts. She's very immature. She's racing against horses like Tipsy and Dixie, which is super unfair. There's just not a lot of classes for Judy. You starting to see a problem now with horses that can't find a proper class to race. Now, Jazzy Judy has a major stake races coming up where she will absolutely fit in just fine heading into Harrisburg, but as it stands right now, there's no comparison between Tipsy and Dixie and Jazzy Judy. Jazzy Judy's just looking for some speed, experience, learning to be a horse. The horse that Tipsy and Dixie was last year, let alone this year. What else we hear? Mama Knows Best. Tough trip the other day. Not the trip I really wanted heading into the Harrisburg sale. We'll see if we can get her a little better spin this week. Just the way the race worked out. I mean, what are you going to do? It's not the end of the world. My Jazz. I had a lot of people the other day had to put an email out. We've been dealing with such lameness issues with My Jazz all year, and none of that were her fault. But they were posing a problem. So every time she makes a break or does something wrong, people inevitably gravitate towards, oh, she's lame, she's sore, what are we going to do with her? Relax. There's a lot of changes going on with that filly. We took the plates off of her because we thought they were a hindrance, took some of the weight off of her, and I really think that is what posed the problem. It wasn't that she's lame, it's that it was her shoeing and her equipment and a number of other reasons. Luke let her blast into the turn a little bit, trying to hold position, and she made a little break on him in the turn. It happens. We put a little bit more weight on her, went from a full swedge to a 9/16 shoe, put razor pads on her, opted out of the plates, put razor pads on her, and now we're going to race her and see how she is in her qualifier. I think she's going to qualify very well and start coming forward. I'm happy with what I see from My Jazz. If you'd asked me a month ago, I was extremely concerned. I'm sure you heard it in my voice. You saw it on my face when I was talking about her. That concern is dissipated. This filly is poised to push forward right now. No Free Lunch is jogging now, looking good. Northern Blizzard, they trained him this week, trained him good. I know a lot of people are like, when's he qualifying? We're working on it, and we'll likely school him this week. I have to check and see what time I race Wednesday. I might be able to make it back to Northfield Park for the qualifiers and schoolers. We will see. Perfect record. Hunter Myers did an incredible job. He said he made a break warming up, and he really was just hanging on to him. He said he didn't know him, and he was really worried he'd make a break. Regardless, I think he's not taking enough credit. The kid drove the horse fantastic. The horse looked great, got home great, and looks like he's poised for a win heading into Harrisburg. Rose Run Wynot. James did a great job. James, this is the year of James. Not only is it the year of the stable, we're doing great, but it's the year of James McDonald. He, from my point of view, as a completely biased brother, he is an absolute shoe-in for the O'Brien Award for Driver of the Year here in Canada. He has done a great job. Good kid. And he drove Rose Run Wynot fantastic the other night. Good for him, but great for us. This filly's finally looking like she can come forward now. Just really, really pumped with what I've seen from her. So and Sue, give us time. I know it's not ideal. We buy a horse and races like shit. Just give us time. We'll get this filly squared away. Keep in mind, Rose Run Wynot just exposed how cheap that non-winners of 2 can be at Mohawk some weeks. And So and Sue is every bit as good or better than Rose Run Wynot. So just relax. We'll get this thing squared away. Tanzanite Tricks, as I said, racing at Northfield this week. I wouldn't say she's half-mile oriented, but fast filly. She'll like the turns at Northfield Park. I'm sure of that. A little bit of a mixed bag. Some kind of horses with lots of money and wins on their card, but beat up recently, some other horses that are coming up through the classes, she should be fairly. I looked at the bunch. I looked up every horse. I'd say she's 5 to 6 to 1 morning line, but she would have been at the Meadows. So it was 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other. I'm happy with what I've seen from this class. I think she'll be all right this week. Tipsy and Dixie has been awesome. I suspect she's sitting on a win this week. I hope she is, because I'm driving her. I suspect she'll do very well. As I said, a client that was a little befuddled with why I was taking over the driving duties. So Mike drove her once in his life. It's okay. She's not a real difficult horse to drive. So I'll drive Tipsy and Dixie this week when I'm in Pennsylvania. Walk on the Moon has been racing great. Continue. A lot of people asking about this horse. Guys, listen. If he can move up to the next class that he's moving up and do well, it is inevitably fair to assume that he can mature into a better 4-year-old. But I need to see these steps. And when we had to enter to the sale, it was a month ago, maybe more, 5 weeks ago. I couldn't tell which horses needed to be put in the sale and which didn't. So anybody that could have possibly been put in the sale was put in the sale. Now, if we have to pay $1,125 to withdraw him from the sale, then I will. But that will be up to him, right? He's got 2 starts before the sale. Let's see how he does. Relax. And then Won My Heart Hanover. Nothing pissed me off more than this break the other day. This filly is fresh now, coming back sharp and looking good. That really annoyed me that she made a break. She's in to qualify Monday at the Meadows. Tim will get her qualified, and then we'll see where we race her shortly after that. Here's another filly coming in. Maybe a mistake to sell this filly. I don't know. It will depend on price. It will depend on what we're offered, what we do with her. She's no giveaway, I can tell you that. Decently bred filly that can leave, sit, follow, and is going to be a decent racehorse at 4. I'm making reasons to you not to sell her, but as I said, when you start getting up in that Tipsy and Dixie class, there's no joke. Those are killers in there. Those are the gatekeepers of the industry. And if we're going to get paid good money for some of these horses before they get to those gatekeeper classes, then it makes sense to turn them over. So that's where we're at with the 3-year-olds. We'll be right back with the aged horses.